Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Have you ever wondered what games you should sell or you should use? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Find out on our top 10 list what games you cannot miss. Don't forget to subscribe to Purge Reviews.
The classic buddy movie. The 1980s were full of them. You take two movie stars, you put them in the same movie, and you have them argue until the end. It was a classic formula used over and over and over again. Sometimes it produced hits, and sometimes maybe not so much. The board gaming industry is guilty of this also. You take two very popular mechanisms, and you have one brand new game. Or you take a very popular game, you change it a little bit, sometimes just a theme, and voila, you have a brand new board game. It's familiar enough that people play it and they love it. But the window dressing is different, so sometimes they don't notice that you're just selling them the same game. This brings us to Ethnos. This brings us to Ethnos. Ethnos is a game of area control with set collection. On each turn, you draw a card, or you play a set of cards. Starting to sound familiar? Choo-choo! You got it right, folks. This is an area control game. And if you have the right ticket, you can ride along with this game and have a great time. Here's Ethnos, which is Ethnos. This big, what looks like a fantasy element and environment. You get a rule book that's actually quite great. This is a really good rule book. So you have a kind of how to play in the front. You have all the tribes explained here, what their powers do, and a nice rule summary on the back. So great job on this rule book. So you have this little really nice insert in here. I don't have everything put in here, but these kind of go in here. You have the cards, your tiles, and underneath this is more of these that you'll be using. And it just fits in here really, really good. So there's 4 layers in here. It's a really fantastic insert that I really wanted to show you guys. So it's really good. You would not have to upgrade this insert at all. First thing you'll notice is just kind of how small the board is. It doesn't fit up much room at all on the table. In fact, it might be a little short for what I want it to be. You're going to have a scoring track around it. You're going to have all the scoring is right here, and you have these tile placements and the areas. Now, it's not crowded. It's fine for what it is. It's just really hard if you have a big table, I have a Geek Chic table, to reach across this or put this in the middle. It's almost inconvenient for everyone. You're going to have these little tiles that are really good and thick, as you can see. Those have victory point markers on them, and they're modular, so you'll randomly put those on the board. These are probably the worst component in the board. These are the area control markers. Come in different colors, but they do stack, which is nice. That's probably their biggest selling point. That really makes a small board fit because you'll have to have them side by side. You would stack them if they're the same color. Gonna have a little cardboard board for the merman, depending on the number of players. Same thing with the orcs. Everybody's gonna get one of these. Here's a giant scoring. It's double-sided, depending on the number of players. And there'll be 6 of these little tiles when you're playing with the trolls. Now the cards you're going to play with are a little bit unique size. They're not going to be normal size, a little bit longer and more slender. Here's the merman cards. And you're only going to use a number of these characters. You're going to have a whole bunch of different characters. Depending on the number of players, you're going to use different characters. And you'll randomize these, almost like Smash Up. So you won't use all of the characters in every game, and then the different combinations and mixes will infiltrate how you play the game. Based on the number of players, you're going to have these tiles out. You always put, wherever you randomly put them, you're going to have the lowest number first, then the middle, so the areas will progressively be worth more victory. You will also choose, depending on the number of players, a number of cards that you'll be playing with, each with different powers. After I explain the game, I'm going to go in and I'm going to explain each of the individual powers. There'll also be 3 dragon cards shuffled in. When 3 dragon cards are drawn from the deck, then the era or round will end, and you'll play 3 rounds of the game. This will be immediate, and this will be important during the game. I'm going to explain this in just a few more minutes. So on your turn, you can do one of two things. You can either take one of the face-up cards, or you can take a random card from the top of the deck, each of the cards doing something different. When you take a face-up card, they're not immediately replaced, so you could actually have 0 face-up cards and you're just drawing randomly from the deck. When you take a card, you can either play all the cards of the same type, so these are all Merfolk, and so you could play this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is considered a band of the army, and you would pick one to be your leader. I would activate the power, and then based on where or who I chose the leader, I can put one of my tiles out on the board to signify I have control there. As long as my army is larger than the number of control markers I can add on. So if I only played one of these, I couldn't add another one because there's already one there. But if I was to play 2, I could do that. Now when you play the cards from your hands, any cards you have left over, leave your hand and become the face-up cards that people can select. So that's how that gets repopulated. The second way I could play cards, I can play 2 different characters, but they have to be the same color. In this case, purple. So I could make an army here of 2 Merfolk and halflings, and I could take, since I don't have anybody in the purple, I'd put one of these on the purple. This army would go down beside me, and it'd be one of my armies. So when the round is over, what you're going to do is you're going to score each of these areas. So for the first round, I'm going to score 2 victory points because I have the most control here. And here, because this one is 0, I'm not going to score any. But if this had been round 2, I would score 2 points, and whoever was in second place would score 2. If it was a third round, I would score 8. And if somebody else had been there and got the second most, they would score 2, and third would score 2. Here, it'd be 6, 4, and 0. So you're going to do each of the areas you'll get to control. So the next part of the scoring you'll do each round is this chart. Whatever size army. So in my case, I had played 5 Merfolk, so I would get 10 victory points. On the 2 purples that I had played, the Halfling and the Merfolk, I would only get 1 for that. So you would score the areas and you're going to score all the armies. Once you score the armies, they go back in for the next round and they'll be shuffled back in. You do not keep those from round to round, but you do keep your area control markers on the board from round to round. Now I'm going to go through and show you how each of the characters work. If you activate a halfling, they don't place any markers on the board. So if he's considered your group leader, then you will actually only score points for him using the chart. You will not put any out. And the reason why is there's a lot more of these in the deck, so it's much easier to get a higher score with those. Now the Merfolk, you will advance X spaces, X being the number of cards in that army on the Merfolk track. So here's how this track works. You will use one of your control markers to move up. If you get to one of these spots, then you can add a control marker on this board anywhere that you want. Otherwise, whoever is the highest up on the track will score victory points. This is for 2 to 3 players, and the back is 4 to 6, because you'll play more rounds with 4 to 6 players. So whoever's the highest will score just like the area control, but it's whoever has the highest score, and this can help you put things out on the board. Then we have the Elves. The Elves are neat because normally when you play an army, you have to discard the rest of the cards in your hand. With the Elf, you may keep up to X cards in your hand, where X is the number of cards in your army. So if you build a 5 army of Elf, I could keep 5 cards in my hand. Keeping in mind your hand limit with cards is 10. Now the Giants are going to play a little bit differently. If you play the band with a giant leader, you take control of the giant token and you score 2 victory points. So if somebody has a band or an army of 2 giants and you play a 3, then you take this. This will score you 2 victory points immediately. And if you're playing 2 to 3 players, you play that side, and 4 to 6, you play the 3 rounds. So if you have this at the end of the round, you will also score victory points for this. The next one is the Troll. You take an unclaimed Troll token with a value up to X. So there are 6 Troll tokens, 1 through 6. If I play an army of Trolls, or my group leader happens to be a Troll, and I played a 4, let's say, I could take the 4, or if it's not available, anyone lower than that. And what this is going to do is going to break ties. Normally there is no tiebreaker. You just split the points. But if you're tied anywhere for anything in the game, whoever has the most value of the Trolls. So if I have a 4 and a 1, I'm going to have 5 points. So if you have the 6, then you would break any tie over me, but I might break the tie over other players. So Trolls are going to act as no points, but just tiebreakers. Now if you're going to play the Wingfolk as your boss, you can place your marker on any kingdom of the board. So normally, if I play a blue boss, I can only place a token on that, but the winged folk will allow me to play anywhere. Mainly because they can fly, right? The next one is the wizard. He allows you to draw the number of cards in your army from the deck. So I can quickly get your hand back up and also trigger the end of the game if that's what you're trying to do. We also have the skeleton. Now, he can never be a leader, but he can be used with any band of allies, but he must be discarded before the end of age scoring. So he is going to allow you to build your army up bigger, and there's no color association with the skeleton. Minotaur, this band counts as X+1 for placing a marker on the board. So the Minotaur allows you to put the marker on the board a little bit easier. Then we have the Orc. Place a marker on the matching space of the Orc. So each player is going to have an Orc board. So if you played a red Orc as your leader, then you place one here. And at the end of each age, you're going to get more points based on where you're at. But you have to give them up, so it might be better for you to hold on to them longer. So if you had 3 of these covered and you wanted to give them up at the end of the age, you would score 6 victory points. Now the dwarves are interesting because they count as X+1 for the end of age scoring. So if you had 4 of these, or he was at your leader in an army of 4, you would actually score for having 5 of them. Remembering 6 is the max that you can have to score. If you have 7, 8, 9, 10, it just counts as 6. Then we have the centaur. If you place a marker on the board, you may play another band of allies immediately. So he's going to be really good if you have 2 sets. Remember, if you play a set or an army, you have to give up the rest face up for other people to be able to choose from also. And subsequent turns, he allows you to play more than one army. So that can be a really good timing mechanism with him. So let's talk about a little bit what's going on in this game that's really neat. So the game is going to trigger when the 3rd dragon card comes up. Now, after you start the game and you have the cards face up, you will split the deck in 2, and you will shuffle the dragon cards into the bottom half of the deck. So you know that the dragon cards are going to be in the bottom half of the deck, but not in the top half. So you never know when they're going to come out. And people are going to start drawing from the top of the deck and flipping these over. And when you get down to 2, and you don't know where this is at in the deck, it could be the next card, or it could be quite a while from now. You're going to see people start to press their luck. You know, if you don't play whatever set you have, even though it's going to be worth less points, somebody could draw this. And when they do, you're going to be stuck without being able to score what's in your hand. So do you draw another card or take that face-up card that looks so good so you can score more points and possibly get something on the board at least? Or do you press your luck to try to get more points or better placement on the board? So there's a little bit of pressure luck that's in the game. Now this is a set collection game. You're setting in 2 ways, by color or by type. And it plays a lot of like Ticket to Ride with area control. Now Ticket to Ride is an area control game, right? You're building those rails. Although some may say it's more of a train game. But this is going to have a lot of borrowing from Ticket to Ride. And I think because that's such a good classic game, it really comes across here. So a lot of set collection. The game turns usually move really fast because most of the turns is you're just trying to get more cards. And that can really push the game along very quickly. So those are a couple of things that are going on. You have the area control, you have the set collection for points, then you have that little bit of your pressure luck that's going on with the dragon cards, which really comes together in a very nice package. Ethnos. So what you get here is you get a area control Ticket to Ride game. What? Isn't Ticket to Ride already an area control game? Sort of. It's a train game with some area control to it, sure, but this is more of your classic area control game where you have a country broken up into different areas, and you would have the most there to min-max your score. So in this one, on your turn, it can be just as simple as picking up a card, and that's your turn. Very Ticket to Ride-ish. You're going to have a set of cards out, or you can take a random card from the top of the draw. But what you're doing here with your set collection is a little bit different, that you want to be able to play all of one color or all of one type of monster. And you're going to choose one to be your leader and activate that. But that one you activate, not only will you get the power, but it will allow you to put the control marker in that color, that area of the board. There's a couple things going on there. Let me say, this game is pretty light. This is a gateway game. This is probably my new gateway to area control. I like this game as that. If you play Ticket to Ride and you want to try something a little bit different, we'll try this one with area control. I think this is going to be a very good inclusion for that. There's a lot of variety in the different races that are in the game. I like that. So they've kind of included that in. And the way they mix and max can really influence how you're going to play this game. Not to mention the tiles that you put on the board. Now, I played this game with 3, and I played this game with more than 3. I think the more the better. With 3, it's just really short. You're only going to play 2 rounds of the game. With 4+, you're going to play more. And obviously, the more that you're going to play, the game may go a little bit longer, and things will be, tighter when you're battling for the different areas. But the turns can be really quick, and I like that. Just picking up a card. Okay, I know I'm collecting elves. There's an elf card. I'm picking it up. I'm collecting halflings. Let's get to the halfling. Oh, there's nothing there that I need. I'm going to grab it. And that's kind of important because that random card off the top is tremendously random. Because when I play my cards, if I play an army down, whatever I have left, I have to give up. And those become available to other players. So there's not a whole lot of incentive for me just to draw that card on the top of the deck and keep drawing. Because you're giving the other player a lot more turns to get what they need, but also you're just going to be giving the other players the option to pick up those cards. And that is important because when you play down your armies, you play down your sets, you're going to get more victory points with the more in your set. So a set of 5 is worth more than a set of 3, tremendously more. So the more you have, the better. But you don't want to be randomizing it because you're just going to make those cards available. And if you're collecting something, they're probably collecting something different, and you're giving those cards to them. So if you have 3 cards in your hand, it might be better to play those 3 and have nothing left over than to play 4 and have a card or 2 left over. And that's where the game comes into play. Also, the ending is never known. You never know when a round is going to end because when is that dragon going to come up? And when there's 2 dragon cards sitting out there, you know another one is coming. And it's probably going to come right before you need it. So you might be more in a hurry to throw some armies down and get them out of your hands because they're stuck in your hand when that 3rd dragon comes out. Round ends immediately. And you don't get to score. So that's something to think about as you're going through the process. I really like this game. I don't know if it's as great as everybody is saying it is, but it's a very good introductory gateway game into area control and set collection. Very good game here. I like the theme of it. I think the theme is going to attract more gamers than it will non-gamers. But I think there's something here, and I would highly recommend you check this out. I'm going to keep this one. This one will stay in my collection probably for a long time because it is a gateway game. And gateway games tend to have a way to stay in my collection a lot longer because I like to pull those out with new players. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel. Lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing games.